Welcome to Business Line Radio. Driving while intoxicated, or DUI, driving under the influence. It can happen to movie stars as well as people like you and me. If someone you know is in this situation, we're going to give you some information that can help you deal with it. For Business Line Radio, I'm John St. George, and my guest is someone with over 30 years' experience in helping people deal with DUI and other substance abuse issues. Michelle Hadaway is with us today, president of the Hart Group, and that's H-A-R-T, which stands for Help and Recovery Today. Michelle Hadaway has her master's in counseling psychology, a major in addictions, and Michelle is also a certified addictive counselor for the state of Maryland. Welcome, Michelle. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, just fine, thank you. Michelle, just how serious is DWI and what can happen to people?
Well, it's become much more serious over the past 10 years. It used to be simply a traffic charge years ago, and it was not a criminal charge. But it became a criminal charge in the 1970s, at least in Maryland. So now it holds a much stricter and a much more comprehensive result in that you can go to jail even on your first charge.
What's the common mistake someone makes when they're trying to deal with DWI, either with themselves or someone they're trying to help?
Well, the first mistake is when people think of driving while intoxicated, they think that means that you have to be staggering and driving all over the road, driving on the wrong side of the highway. But that's not true. If you're driving while buzzed, you really are driving while intoxicated, because most people who get DWIs have very high tolerances and don't know exactly how intoxicated they are, particularly as far as the numbers, the BAC numbers go.
I wanted to get into that one. How many times have you seen something like this in your career? A person comes in with a DWI, and as you listen to the person's story, it's someone who went out for dinner, they had dinner with a drink or two, and somehow they managed to get pulled over, the breath test was taken, and now they have a DWI, and the person really wasn't that drunk to begin with. Do you see a lot of that?
Well, actually, if you have a drink or two, and if you weigh like 100 pounds or less, maybe even 80 pounds, you could possibly get a DUI. But most people say I had a drink or two, and actually it was more like 5 or 6, particularly when they were out to dinner. They have a drink before dinner, they have a drink after dinner, they have wine with dinner. They're not really counting how many drinks they have. And you have to have, in your state, a 0.10, and a 160-pound man, let's say, 165-pound man, to get a 0.10 would have to have 6 drinks in his system.
What are some of the DWI horror stories you've seen?
Well, I mean, the worst thing that can happen is that if somebody has only had a drink or two and they get pulled over for, let's say, their tail light is out, and they get pulled over and they get so scared they refuse the breathalyzer. And if they had taken the breathalyzer, they would have passed it. But they don't take the breathalyzer, so they usually get convicted of the DWI, or they get a PBJ for the DWI.
How does your organization fit in this scenario as far as helping someone, or an organization like yours?
Well, it's mostly an enlightenment program. I think that most people are very unaware of DWI and of what can happen to them if they have 1 or 2 of these. If they have 2, they're really in big trouble. But if they have 1 even, they're usually horrified, they're terrified. And the thing about it is that they really need to be informed of all of the legal ramifications of what it takes to get a DWI, of how you can lie to yourself about how much you drank or how much you drink usually, even if it's only on occasions, on very rare occasions. So I think all of those things make people much more aware. And that's what our program is about, that you have to become conscious and aware of what you've done and of what it means legally.
Why would someone want to use an organization like Hart?
Well, first of all, the reason that you would is because once you get a DWI or a DUI, that's driving under the influence, and in Maryland the whole thing has changed, but I don't want to get into the legal things, but it has changed a little bit in Maryland. But once you get one, if you go to court without having had an evaluation from a program like ours, then the judge can give you whatever he wants to without a professional evaluation, and it depends on your judge. He might go very heavy on it, he might go too light, and you won't learn anything. So the most important thing in the eyes of attorneys is to go to a good program that is recognized by the state for DWI and have an evaluation, at least have an evaluation with a recommendation as to what kind of program you should have, education or treatment, and also to start that program and show that you're very serious about getting a DUI. And that impresses judges to know that you're taking it seriously, so they'll be much more lenient on your sentence and give you a PBJ, which pretty much gets you off the hook if you finish your program.
Do most attorneys believe in working with an organization like Hart?
Well, yes, most of the ones that work with us do. They do, because they've learned not to leave it only up to the judges or to the court evaluators. They learned that their clients will get a better evaluation and a better deal and more information if they go to a program that specializes in DWI.
If someone wants to find an organization like yours, and I would assume they have been already encountered by a police officer, they have been described as DWI, what do they have to do to find an organization like yours? Say to the attorney, hey, I want this type of evaluation, or
I need a good DWI evaluation, and they could call the Bureau of Substance Abuse in their state, and they would give them the DWI programs that are certified by the state, or they could go online and find out what they are. Just put up DWI evaluations on there, and you'll get the certified programs online.
Well, Michelle, thank you very much for giving us this information. I do appreciate it. Hope to talk to you again real soon.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
All righty. That's Michelle Hadaway, president of the Hart Group. HART, Help and Recovery Today. And you can find the Hart Group by visiting their website or calling the number right here on the screen. This segment is a service of Business Line Radio. I'm John St. George, and thank you very much for listening. Hope the information helps you. And if you'd like to have a few drinks with dinner, remember, take it easy. If you feel a little bit woozy, maybe it's better to sit tight for a while, have some coffee, and get your senses back. Or just have someone else drive or call a cab. So take it easy out there. And if you know someone who has an issue with DUI, have them listen. Take it easy.